everybody, and welcome to Happiness Isn't Brain Surgery with Doc Snipes. Today we're going to talk about biggest mistakes people make when they're trying to get happier or recover from depression or addiction or anxiety or whatever. But I like to think about it as trying to get happier. Sleep is one of the first things that we think of, or we don't think of, when people are trying to get healthier and happier, but a lot of times that's not the thing that people try to work on first. They think, well, I need to go to counseling, or I need to work on my thoughts, or I need to improve my relationship or whatever. And while those things may be very true, we also need sleep. Sleep is so vital in the prevention of a myriad of health as well as mental health issues. It sets your circadian rhythms. And what are your circadian rhythms? It's not just when you're awake and when you sleep. Your circadian rhythms also regulate different hormones in the body. And this can include your sex hormones, your thyroid hormones, as well as cortisol, your stress hormone. In the morning, when you're supposed to be getting up, your cortisol peaks. It says, okay, time to get out of bed. Now, too much cortisol is bad, but a little bit of cortisol is necessary for functioning. So it peaks in the morning and it gradually declines throughout the day. That way, at night, when it's time to go to sleep, your cortisol is low and your brain gets the clue that, hey, it's time to make melatonin, time to go to sleep. Now, when we get good quality sleep, we're able to clear out the fog, so to speak. When we're awake during the day and we're doing stuff, and thinking actually produces a byproduct called adenosine in our brain. That byproduct, that adenosine, is what makes us start feeling sleepy. When we get good quality sleep, our brain can clear out that adenosine, kind of like wiping off a whiteboard and getting ready for the next day. But if we don't sleep well, it's kind of like, wiping off a whiteboard where the ink has been on there for 3 weeks and it's just not clear. And the whole rest of the day, when you're writing on the whiteboard, you have this shadow of what was there the day before, and it's hard to focus, hard to concentrate. Sleep helps your body rebalance. It's when it restores and repairs anything that went wrong and gets ready for the next day. It reduces activation of your stress system and reduces cortisol. When you're sleeping, your body is repairing, which means it's getting rid of things that would cause you stress. They've shown that sleep deprivation actually increases cortisol levels. And we're not talking about, not sleeping for days and days and days. Of course, that increases cortisol levels. But we're talking about not getting enough sleep with regularity, a couple hours, and most of us aren't getting enough sleep. The average adult still needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, and the average child still needs 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night. And that's good quality sleep, not just being in bed. So think about whatever time you have to get up and then count backwards to identify when you really should be going to bed. Sleep improves concentration, learning, and memory by clearing out the adenosine and prepping the brain for learning the next day. And it also, this is one that some people will latch onto, it helps regulate appetite. When we have our circadian rhythms in sync, these hunger and satiation hormones, ghrelin and leptin, which sort of irrelevant, but our hunger hormones are regulated appropriately. When we don't get enough sleep, those hunger hormones may be all over the place. So when we're getting enough sleep, it regulates appetite, it clears out the fog, helps our body rebalance, gives us more energy, and reduces excess cortisol. All of those things are really good, and all of them will help reduce depression and anxiety. Depression is that feeling of fatigue, difficulty concentrating, difficulty making decisions, low energy. All that can be attributed to or included with sleep changes. Anxiety, there's worry, there's anxiety. And feelings of anxiety can be triggered by high cortisol levels and activation of that threat response system, or what you have heard me call the HPA Axis. Start the day with bright light exposure. In recovery, we call this get up and show up. You may not like getting up in the morning. I know there's a lot of mornings I don't, and I'm a morning person. But it's important to start the day with bright light exposure in order to let your body know that it's time to be awake. Not time to make melatonin, time to secrete cortisol, time to get the glutamate and the norepinephrine going so we can get excited, motivated, and energetic for the day. Add a blue light filter to all of your electronic devices, including your television, 2 hours before bed. This will help reduce the false signals to your brain that it's still daytime. Blue light tells our brain it's daytime. We want to eliminate that blue light as much as possible. In our house, I've actually reduced the bulbs in all of our evening places to be bulbs that have very little blue in them. They're very yellow in color in order to prevent impairing that signal to the brain that we need to get in order to start creating melatonin. Develop a wind down routine. With children, they come home, they play, they eat, they take a bath, they get a story, they go to bed. You know, in general, most families operate something like that. And that cues their body in to help them get ready for bed. So by the time they start eating or start finishing dinner, their brain recognizes, okay, I know what's happening now, and it's time for me to start winding down. It's important for us to do the same thing. 3, maybe 4 things that you do. For me, I play Words with Friends on my mobile device with a blue light filter when I'm trying to get sleepy. And that cues my brain, oh, hey, it's time to start getting sleepy. Cool down. Believe it or not, we need to be cool to sleep. Most people think, oh, if I take a hot bath, it'll help me get sleepy. In actuality, that makes you more awake a lot of times, or makes it harder for you to get to sleep. Cooling down, the temperature of 68 to 72 degrees is what they say is generally most ideal for people to sleep. I like it a lot cooler than that. Some people like it a lot hotter than that. It's dependent on what you feel comfortable with. Eliminate irritants in your sleep area. Noise, if you can put on noise canceling headphones, use a white noise machine, put in earplugs, whatever it is to block out the dogs or the snoring spouse or the noisy neighbors, that's important. And get rid of allergens. Make your bedroom where you sleep an allergen-free zone. And I know that's one thing that I don't follow through on. I let my dogs and cats in, and that's not a good thing. But I have a HEPA air purifier, so I kind of split the difference. But allergens that make you cough or cause you congestion will prevent you from getting quality sleep. Practice good ergonomics and address pain issues, even when we sleep. You know how sometimes you wake up and you've got a kink in your neck. Well, that's not a good thing. If you're sleeping or if you're waking up and you've got a kink in your neck, that means your muscles were spasming while you were sleeping. Get a good pillow. It's worth the investment. Get a good mattress topper. If not a good mattress, it's worth the investment. And some people really like weighted blankets. I personally do. But that, again, is up to you and what feels comfortable for you when you sleep. During the day, don't nap for more than 30 minutes because when you do, you start into that, sleep cycle if you go for more than 30 minutes. A short power nap of less than 30 minutes has been shown to increase norepinephrine, which is one of our focus chemicals. So there's theoretically nothing wrong with short naps in the middle of the day. Not everybody likes short naps. If I take a short nap, I can't ever feel like I can shake the fog. That's a personal choice about what you want to do. Don't drink or smoke within 2 hours of bed. Alcohol is a system depressant, and it actually worsens sleep apnea in people who have sleep apnea, and it can cause some symptoms of sleep apnea even in people who are just heavy snorers. Smoking. Nicotine is partially a stimulant, and it needs to get out of the system in order to help you get quality sleep. So don't smoke within 2 hours of bed. Ideally not at all, of course, but I'm trying to be realistic about what people are going to do. And finally, reduce fluid intake 2 hours before bed. You can have some water next to your bed to sip on or whatever, but you don't want to be chugging 32 ounces right before bed, because then you're going to have to wake up at 11 p.m. or 2 a.m. or whatever it is to go pee. And that is going to disrupt your quality sleep for the night. Those are some tips. There are a lot of other sleep hygiene tips that you can use, but these are some easy things to start with to improve your sleep. The other thing people often forget is nutrition. Food provides the building blocks for the body to make the hormones and neurotransmitters that are necessary for your body and brain to function. Good food is like good gas. You put it in, you function efficiently. You get bad gas, your car's going to stutter and sputter and maybe stall out. Junk food is like ethanol. And, the more ethanol we have, the more it kind of burns off and doesn't make our car operate quite as effectively. If you've ever had an engine that sat over the winter like a lawnmower, you know that ethanol, when it sits in your engine, gets sticky and gunky and may keep the engine from starting the next year. And that's kind of like junk food in our bodies. It can make everything kind of clog up, get sticky and gunky. Is that saying never eat junk food? Well, of course not. As long as it's not medically contraindicated, enjoy the food, but enjoy it in moderation. Food is your friend. You wouldn't want to spend all day, every day with the same person. You probably don't want to eat the same thing all day, every day. I know I did when I was in college, was not the best thing for me. I lived on pizza and ramen noodles for a couple of years. Not healthy, not recommending it, but it is important to recognize that we need variation. Simple tips for nutrition. Stay hydrated. When we are dehydrated, even 2% dehydrated, our cognitive abilities go down, our energy levels go down. It's going to impact our energy and may impact our mood. Eat colorfully, and Skittles don't count. Try to have 3 colors on your plate at every meal. Yellow, blue, green, black, like black beans and black rice. There's a lot of colors out there, and each color type of food has different health nurturing properties to it. So try to eat colorfully. Don't overcook your vegetables, and this goes with color too. The less color, the less nutritious is kind of a general rule that you can use. Steam your vegetables. Eat them raw when possible. Look for vegetables and fruits that are rich in color, not the ones that are kind of bland and kind of off-white. And get enough complete protein, which is usually not a problem for most Americans. If you are vegan, make sure you are getting enough complete proteins. And there are complete vegetarian-based proteins. My daughter is a vegetarian and she's converting me, and I'm well aware that you can get enough protein on a vegan or vegetarian diet, but you do have to be cognizant or more cognizant of what you're eating, because it is a little bit harder to do if you're not planning ahead. Episode 309 of Counselor Toolbox Podcast provides more detailed information on nutrition for depression recovery and happiness. Poor nutrition and lack of quality sleep can contribute to exhaustion, apathy, anxiety, irritability, and fatigue. Trying to address mental health issues without addressing nutrition and sleep is like trying to get better gas mileage but continuing to use poor gas and keeping a 100-pound bag of dog food in the trunk. And I can tell you, I just went to the feed store the other day and it was more than 100 pounds. But my gas mileage suffered on the way home when I had all those bags of layer pellets and cracked corn and everything in the back of the car. You're not going to be able to feel as happy. You're not going to get the benefit or as much benefit from the other things you do to address your mood and addictive issues unless you're also taking care of your body. And finally, make small changes for success. Don't decide that, okay, tomorrow I am going to completely start an entirely new nutrition plan. That is usually not effective for people. Instead, say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start making sure that I drink at least 64 to 100 ounces of water a day. And then when that is easy to do, all right, now I'm going to start making sure that I'm getting at least 3 colors on my plate at every meal. Incremental, it's not, you don't have to do it overnight, and it's better to do it slowly, successfully in order to make sure that it has stick-to-it power. Message me at support@DocSnipes.com if there are other topics that you want me to cover. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the button below if you are watching this on YouTube. You can also find our YouTube channel if you are not watching it on YouTube by going to DocSnipes.com/podcast. And remember that Happiness Isn't Brain Surgery podcast can also be found on any podcast player app. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.